Exactly. Exactly. None of this can be taken lying down, ladies and gentlemen. What? I've no idea. We are here for a random stream of randomness. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to our humble KBS HQ here on the YouTubes. A big shout out to everyone who's tuned in, tuned in, joined in. We could just like make up words as we go along today. It might be one of these streams, but I'm so glad to see everyone here so far. We've got Jose Ramon Francis first in the chat room today. A salute to you. And yes, we are going to be taking it nice and easy. We're going to be kicking back. And today, because I'm still not quite at 100%, I've been wrestling in one hand with doing the main show on TFR. And on the other hand, I've got a live streaming commitment to keep up to all of you great people out there as well. So I'm thinking, how do I juggle this? Do we just do TFR? Do we just do YouTube? Or do we? Do we go back to what we were doing a good while ago? And it was really starting to become a lot of fun. And we are going to click live on the network right here while we're on the stream. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is a simulcast day, but with a difference. We're going to be taking it nice and easy here at KBS HQ. So if you hear me getting too excited, too carried away, not breathing, then let me know in the chat room, right? You're here to keep me right today because I get carried away when we do these streams, especially when we're solo, and especially when I've got not just the TFR audience, but all of you great people out there as well. So for the first half hour of today's show, up until 10 o'clock in the UK, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, 2 p.m. on the West Coast, and I believe that's 7 a.m., an ungodly hour down under. We're just going to be chilling out. I'm going to be speaking with the chat room. We've got our Discord server as we move on through the show towards the end. We may actually get you out there, if you're in Discord, to send me some of your woo that you've been looking into. But bear in mind, folks, bear in mind that we are very, very restricted in some of the topics that we do cover here on YouTube, and that's okay. I'm not here to cry or moan and talk about that today. There's far too much good stuff happening in the world and far too much woo for us to be talking about to get too bogged down by that. So please bear that in mind if you're dropping links or you're asking me to cover something in the chat room. I'm 50-50 right now as to whether to keep up my promise that I made at the start of the week. And that promise was to open up the phone lines in hour number 2. Now, that could be a very perilous situation. Let's think about it. Let's be honest here. There could be people phone up purposely trying to get the stream kicked off by talking about topics we shouldn't be talking about. There could be haters out there that will take advantage of it and do exactly the same thing. But then, do I then take away the chance for you genuine people to call in with some genuine woo, some good news, some of the stuff we can happily talk about here on YouTube? We will see as we progress, okay? So I want to give a very, very special shout out to a friend over in Canada right now that's listening. Big shout out to you. I would be absolutely lost without your, what's the correct word? Without your friendship. Yes, indeed. And I tell you, a lot of the people over in Discord as well, I don't think you people appreciate just how much of an inspiration you are for me to keep coming back and doing what we do here. It's really easy for me right now to kind of hang up the boots, so to speak, football terminology, pack up the microphone, take a while off, maybe try and get better, but no. No, we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen, and you people out there, you are a big reason why I keep coming back for more. Yes, indeed. Is it a glutton for punishment? I don't know. I don't know. But as long as I can either give you A, something to think about, or B, something to laugh about during the next 2+ hours or so, then for me, that's the only agenda I have. For you to think for yourself, not even to agree with me, to think for yourself, and hopefully at some point, I'll be able to make you laugh along the way. because we have to maintain our laughter, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good coping mechanism for a reason. It's a really good way of helping to cope with the situation in the world right now, whatever it may be that you're facing. All right. So into the chat room we come. We're going to be taking it nice and chilled, nice and easy. And let me just remind people, if you've got anywhere more important to be right now, or you think there's something more important going on in the world that isn't been covered here, please feel free to go and do that or find that channel right now. Nobody is making you stay here to watch. So either you love it or you hate it. Either way, it's up to you. I provide, you decide. We've got some space news. We have got some space woo. We've got aliens. We've got a little bit of archaeology. And we have got not one but two very creepy stories. Now, I haven't read them, but I can comfortably predict that they're very creepy because they come with much acclaim. Yes, indeed. One is the winner of the July r/no sleep Reddit forum. And anyone that goes onto that forum will know there's a really good choice of personal writing. People write in with their own ghost stories, some of them true, most of them fictional. But for one to be standing out and winning, acclaim in any given month, that for me is a good indication that there's a good bit of woo to be had there. And one of these stories, are you ready? One of these stories deals with clowns. Forewarned is forearmed, okay? I don't say I didn't warn you. There will be clowns on this stream. And that's besides me, the host, the biggest clown of us all, right? So Jose Ramon Francis is first in the chat room. We mentioned that. We've got our good friend ZX, who he's joined us in the 21st. The 21st what, Kev? The 21st century. Yes, he's got broadband that actually works now. And I tell you, down in Wales, that's like a mythical beastie. A broadband connection that's really good and solid. Welcome to the club, ZX. And I know Richard Branson took a bit of heat recently for his non-space flight. I tell you what, Virgin Media, when it comes to broadband, bang on. Bang on. Lightning speed, sir. Lightning speed. In fact, ZX might be watching the show ahead of time. It's that fast a broadband connection, right? Right, ZX? Okay, not that good, but yeah, okay. No, I don't get paid by Virgin Media, unfortunately. Jocelyn, all the way from Alaska. We've got another Canadian. Polynation is in there. We have got, scrolling on down, Jennifer. Good to see you. Afternoon where Jennifer is. It's definitely dark time. It's dark o'clock outside. Yep. We have got the tree mistress. Ah, nice. Are you married to a tree hugger? I'm actually very, very very eager to learn more about this name, the tree mistress. I like that. We've got the Gherkins coming to us all the way live from Poland. Yes, big shout out to Karen and Andy and Zach the dog. Good to see all of you. Well, not see you, but feel your presence, right? We've got the brilliant Béarnaise sauce. Every steak should be covered in Béarnaise sauce, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, but it sounded right. We have got the brilliant long-time listener, a long-time sufferer of KBS, Geraldine. And I think Geraldine comes to us all the way from Ireland. I think. If I'm wrong, damn it. I've really messed up if I'm wrong, okay? We've got Cinny Monk. Good to see you, Cinny Monk. Sidvich coming to us all the way from Norway. He was showing us an altercation today between Norwegian police and a drunk individual. Man, oh man, it makes me miss Norway. That's all I can say. We got Saltamontes. What a name. Great. Nothing as it seems. Yes, indeed. We've got Captain Obvious in here. We've got a couple of Captain Obviouses now, thanks to ZX. We've got this new one. And I mean, come on, how many times a day do we all feel like that when we're scrolling online, right? Right? We've also got the General. Yes, back sheet is in the house, but my personal favourite. Look at her go. We AOC. Now, I can't play that too often because, like I say, I'm trying to keep my heart rate down and my breathing at normal, right? It ain't gonna happen if I'm watching too much AOC. Listen, it is what it is. At least I'm honest. I bet, right? I bet. Here we go. At least I'm honest about my attraction to AOC. I think, I think if the men in the chat room right now were honest, if they were being truly honest with you, they would have to admit that, yep, they too are an admirer of AOC. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, I'm thinking that would be the case, you lying buggers out there. We have got Jenny. How is Jenny doing? What happened, says Jenny? I don't know. Nothing's happened. We're all good. Everything's good, Jenny. I think. Saltamontes, we've seen that. Now, Geraldine says going to get pulled into this gadget and internet stuff. But now I have to get to know my vacuum and give it a name. And I have no patience. And they can't understand my accent. Now that I'm ready to go, I think. Right arrow. Yep. Just another crazy day, Geraldine. Just another crazy day in the Matrix. We've got Bet. Good to see you, Bet. Who else we got kicking around in here? Some music in the background. Oh, Jimmy Jean's kicking around. There he is, man. How you doing, Jim Bob? Jocelyn, Bernice, Jenny. I don't think I've missed anyone out. But if I have, I have. And anyway, we're going to take it nice and easy today. Scotty Lopez is house sitting right now. Half his family have debussed to a different location. So I think Scott is in charge of the ranch. And that takes 100% of Scotty's time and attention. Trust me. So he's got the day off today. So that's why we're just kicking back, chillaxing. I've got some links open. We'll add in the hosts. I wasn't even going to go live on TFR, but now that I'm here, and I'm feeling it, I'm feeling the vibe, I'm feeling the love out there, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it did, Jenny, it did. But please don't talk about that here, because as the moderators will now be able to see, the Google moderator team don't want you talking about that. So please don't talk about that in here. Hey, don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. The other mods should be able to see that message as well. So I want to give a big shout out to the Google moderator team. Great work you're doing. We keep it nice and friendly over here. You're going to enjoy the next 2 hours. Google moderator team, be you a chatbot or a human, either way, all is welcome here. All is welcome here, and you'll be pleasantly surprised to see that we have learned our lesson. Yes, we have been twice on the naughty step on YouTube, and once, shame on me. Twice, well, I still don't know how that goes. I'm worse than George Bush. I truly don't know where that goes. It's okay, Jenny. It's okay. Jenny, it's okay. Sometimes, even when I'm watching streams, and I'm guilty of this as well, when the person streaming talks to somebody in the chat room, sometimes it can come across as being really obnoxious and condescending and not nice at all. And when I watch back in streams, sometimes I notice that coming through me, and it's not been intended. So, Jenny, please don't think I was having a go. I'm just trying to keep all of us right. We're trying to keep each other right, I think is the best way of looking at it. So we've got 9 minutes until we go live to the network. It's like you guys are getting like the super secret sauce. You get the behind the scenes look at what goes on here. All this hard work, my research team in the background, and I'm no longer a human to much YouTube. I route for the AI, says Sidvich. He wants the AI in control. Go, Sidvich. Go. Yes, indeedy. So listen, we now know that my good friend's name is Verboten. It's Verboten. Wait till I tell him that one. He's going to be absolutely loving this. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. As long as we're cool, we're okay. Because that's something we try not to do around here. Sure, we can disagree on many's a thing. In fact, I encourage opposing opinions, but we don't fall out. We don't go to that level of the internet where we throw our keyboard in the corner and go in a wee hissy fit and all that stuff. We don't do that here. I like to think that I don't assume anything about anybody, but I'd like to think that if you're listening to me over a prolonged period of time, you're going to roll in a similar kind of fashion to me. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with me. In fact, I hate the thought of everyone agreeing with me, but I would think we're all cut from a similar cloth, right? And if we're still here with me by now, I would like to think also that you truly are looking for the true answers to the questions that we're all asking. The who's, the what's, the where's, the why's, the how's, where do we come from, when was it? Many times we've done this before. And like I say, I think you people out there, as much as it irks me to say, I don't think we'll ever find the actual answer to these questions. I think we are doing it the right way. And that's not to say it's better than anyone else. It's just that when I look around me here, I see people that are critical thinkers. When something comes up in the world, it's not just the automatic default position of, well, it must be a conspiracy. 9 times out of 10 it is. But if you're a true critical thinker and you're thinking for yourself, you must maintain a balanced position going into any story of no preconceived ideas. And be willing to look at things from all angles. Be willing to look at a side of the story that maybe rubs you up the wrong way. And obviously look into the side of things that supports maybe an idea that you've had in the past. But when I look around me here, we might not have vast numbers, but that's okay. Because I would rather know that I'm surrounded by people that are doing this for the right reason. And you truly are what I would call, as much as I hate labels on anything, a truther. You're genuinely, you're here for that reason. Maybe not, you're not going to get it from me. You know me, I provide, you decide whether we get any answers to these questions or not. I don't know. But you're not willing just to settle for some LARPing or some over dramatized nothing burger or misinterpreted data just because it fits what you already think you know. I like what we have going on around here. So it's a big shout out to all of you. In a really horrible roundabout way. I'm crap at this, right?
Hope it helps a little.
Jocelyn, everything helps. That's another thing as well. Everything helps. I'm somebody who's not in a position, and I would like to be in a place where I could support all of my favourite YouTubers and people that are trying to get info out there. I can't, so I know a lot of you are like that as well. So whether it's $1 or $1,000, that to me, the $1 and maybe even more than $1,000, because that tells me it's somebody that's really, they've not got that much to begin with. So listen, sharing links around here, being a part of the Discord, just being a part of the conversation, might not believe this, but to me and to other content creators, that truly is enough. Truly. The rest, I like to think it will take care of itself and it all evens out. And thankfully, touch wood, it does. It does. But that's thanks to all of you out there. And all these little bits do add up, Jocelyn. So thank you very, very much. Now, I am going to log in to our number one network, tfrlive.com. Now, you see, if I keep on reading out what I'm typing, you'll get my super secret sauce or super secret squirrel password into the back end of TFR, and that wouldn't be good for anyone. No. We can't be rolling like that around here. Okay. You liking this today? You noticing I've slowed it down a little. Slowed myself down. We need to pace ourselves now, okay? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. I'm taking a leaf out of the tortoise's book. And just like that, as Tommy Cooper would have said, we're in. Sedvich. Right then. Now we've got a couple of minutes until we go live. Let me log into the chat room over there. You know, I still sometimes kind of have to pinch myself at the fact we're even on TFR. If you know the Kev Baker Show story, you'll probably know that I used to listen to Chris and Cherie Geo back in the day. Alex Jones, Clyde Lewis, his shows there. It was kind of sporadic back then. Sometimes it had a network, sometimes it didn't. But Chris and Cherie Geo, and they would do 3, 4, 5 hours with people like Christopher Everard, E.A. Coetting, Zagami as well. And that's why even to this day right now, I don't know, I just pinch myself going on there. I know it's silly. I know it's silly. But hey, listen, loyalty is a very, very much like the dodo. It's going out the window, and I don't know. There's something about being loyal and, you know, being respectful as well, and remembering how it was the Kev Baker show got to right here today as well. Anyway, maybe I'm old school, folks. I'm old school. I'm misogynist. I'm semi-race. I'm not. You know, I'm a good guy. I'm only joking, but I'm telling you, if the world gets any weirder, I might just have to go that way. I'm only joking. So I'm watching the clock here, and we're going to kick off today's stream of nothingness, or stream of randomness. I thought I called it, with a hilarious. Well, I think it's a hilarious story about the UK military, and we've got our own
Space Command.
Yes! You pesky Americans, we are Space Force. We refuse to be outdone. Yep, indeed. We have got our first Space Command Center. And it's very woke. It's very woke. You should have guessed it'd be woke, right? I don't know if it's woke or not, to be honest with you. I'm just making that part up. So as new people come in, folks, and I would really love it if you could share the link out and stuff like that. Let them know we're taking it nice and easy today. We're chilling out. We're keeping it nice and relaxed. Got to pace ourselves. Long show ahead. We've got 2 hours to go here. Let's see now. Scroll back up and find something here. Make sure I can find it. There we go. And folks, I'm still here. Don't panic. I'm just want to take a picture of something really quickly. We're nearly about going live, but see, nearly there. Okay. Just like this, right? Radio Kev in the house. You ready? You ready? You ready? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we are live. Yes, indeed, another live broadcast for all of you out there listening to Truth Frequency Radio, tfrlive.com. I'm your host, Kev Baker, and for the next 2 hours, you're going to be tuned into the Kev Baker Show. And for anyone new here, that means I'm coming to you live from Smart City, Glasgow, under the digital data dome. That sounds a whole lot more exciting than it is in reality. But we're going all the way around the world, from America to Australia and just about everywhere in between. And again, we do that thanks to Truth Frequency Radio. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. And we've changed things up a little because unfortunately our brother Scotty couldn't make it today. I want to give a big shout out to Scotty, who is house sitting right now. He's probably stressing out of his gourd, looking after half of the family. But instead of putting on a rebroadcast, I thought, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something a little different. And we're just going to simulcast it, and we're going to make it nice and easy and chilled and relaxed today. Okay? So our final Kev Baker show of the week, it's going to be a little bit of news, a lot of woo, and potentially hearing from all of you. We'll see. I might open up the phone lines, but because we're simulcasting today, unfortunately, if I do open up the phone lines, we're going to have to be very, very particular about the topics that we cover. Because obviously, unlike Truth Frequency Radio, that is absolutely uncensored, free speech is alive. Not every platform in the world is as flexible as that, and that's okay. Every platform has got the right to make their own rules, and we have to abide by them. So if I do open up the phone lines, please be very aware that if you get into something that's a bit controversial, I might just have to drop the call. And I don't want you to take that personally. So if we do open up the phones, I will be giving people a reminder about that as we proceed today. Now, don't forget, tomorrow it's going to be Friday again. I honestly can't believe we're on to Friday again. That's going to be like the 6th of August. And it's Freaky Friday. And this is our pre-5-hour extravaganza Freaky Friday. Because not this week, but next week, on Freaky Friday, we'll be joined by Brent Thomas and hopefully Don Longbeard. And then if that wasn't enough for all of you, right after that, we change places. We all head on over to Brent's place, and then we take part in the paranormal portal. We've done it twice so far, and they have been absolutely off the charts. Cryptids, hauntings, creepers, ghouls, goblins, UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, you name it. Chupacabras, everything's been there. Everything's been there. And yet, there's still more to talk about. So that's not this week, but next week, and I'm going to make sure that I am telling everyone about this upcoming 5-hour Friday the 13th extravaganza. So today, to fill in the time with no Scotty here, I've left the wood chipper off. I didn't even bother firing up the wood chipper today. The wood chipper is a 2-man event, at least 2-man. You need at least me and Scott, maybe a Joe Joseph, Jimmy. It's definitely not just a 1-man thing. One man cannot man the wood chipper. All right? It just doesn't roll that way. So I have pulled up a whole host of stories and woo and good stuff for us to get into. And to kick things off today, we have in the past, or I know I have, ad nauseum, some people will be saying, covered the Space Force over in America, right? Everyone was talking about that at one point, you know, the Space Force, and we're singing songs, and we were wondering what that was all about. Well, I must admit in the background, there was a bit of me that was a bit irked. I was thinking to myself, well, you know, us Brits, we used to have a pretty decent empire ourselves, and, you know, how come we're not getting in on this space game? Oh, yeah, spoke too soon, because check this out, folks. Last week, without me even noticing this, how I didn't notice, I don't know, but the UK military opens its first Space Command Centre. Yes, indeedy. I mean, it's not like there's more important things going on in the world right now, right? We need a Space Command Centre. Now, I'm looking at the photograph here, and I see a problem right away, because we have got no women and no people of colour in the lineup here. And I would imagine the woke crowd are going to go absolutely catatonic over this. How dare the British military, how dare they not be woke and diverse and inclusive? Give it a week, folks. Give it a week. It'll look a lot different, that picture. But it says the UK military has launched its first command centre aimed at protecting the country's interests in space. Our interests in space. Now, I actually wasn't aware we had any interests in space, but hey, we live and learn. So, Space Command at RAF High Wycombe will help the UK maintain a battle-winning advantage in this increasingly important domain, the government says. And I get a really, really strong urge that I have to play this.
And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Come on. You would think less of me if I didn't use that opportunity to play one of my favourite clips, right? Come on, man. So the UK is spending an additional 1.4 billion as a with a B billion on space capabilities over the next 10 years. It comes as a senior UK military commander criticised China and Russia for reckless behaviour in space. Of course they blame Russia. It's always Russia, right? Air Chief Marshal Sir Mike Wigston, the head of the Royal Air Force, told Sky News, right now we see countries like Russia and China testing and demonstrating anti-satellite weapons. Satellites with all the characteristics of a weapon deployed in space. We see them rehearsing, manoeuvring, which frankly have only one purpose, which is to destroy satellites. So that is a real concern to us, and that's behaviour that we would want the international community to call out. So he was speaking after presenting the first 8 Space Command personnel with the new Space Operator badges at the opening ceremony on Thursday. And it looks, listen folks, it looks very much like Starfleet. It looks like Starfleet. It looks like the Star Trek logo. And it's got a little halo around it and 1, 2, 3, 4 star-like things. And one wing. Yes, one wing coming off it. Space Operator. There you go. 6 members of the RAF received the badge, as well as a British Army officer and an exchange officer from the United States. That'd have been really cool if it said an exchange officer from, I don't know, Alpha Centauri maybe. That would have made it a whole lot more interesting, right? It goes on to say the UK says it has no plans to launch its own space weapons. Well, that's because we're too busy training all of our personnel to fight with people like me online and to harass people like you on social media, right? I'm only joking. And we'll use the new command centre to better track threats. It'll be jointly operated by the Army, the RAF, and the Royal Navy. So when at full operating capability, it will also provide command and control for all of the UK's space capabilities, including the UK's Space Operations Centre, RAF, Fillingdales, and Skynet. Ladies and gentlemen, Skynet. I thought Skynet wasn't real, but it is, and others. So Defence Minister Jeremy Quinn said, as our adversaries advance their space capabilities, it's vital that we invest in space to ensure that we maintain a battle-winning advantage across this fast-evolving operational domain. The stand-up of Space Command is an exciting and important step in our commitment to operate in space effectively. So it goes on to talk about the US Space Force. It comes as a major military powers around the world are increasing their presence and power in space. In 2019, that silly old hotel owner, I don't know, I think he had an important job in America the last couple of years. What was his name? Trump. Launched the US Space Force, arguing that space is the world's new war-fighting domain.
And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Right, exactly. And that, maintaining American superiority over Russia and China was absolutely vital. The UK is spending an additional 1.4 billion on space capabilities over the next 10 years, arguing that the threat from our adversaries has been evolving since the Cold War. Now, despite an overall increase in defence spending, the government says it intends to have fewer soldiers by the year 2025. We've seen reductions in all forces all over Europe as requirements for expeditionary responses have changed. Fenella McGurty from the International Institute of Strategic Studies told the BBC in March. She added that it would enable the government to put a higher proportion of defence spending towards things like technology and research and development. Labour has previously questioned how additional increases in defence spending are being funded. And then it starts to get into all that really, really murky, horrible, boring politics type stuff. But what is it? What is it with this push into space? Is this really the next frontier? You can see how all the companies are probably lining up to make money out of space. And I've said it before, I'm excited. I mean, I honestly thought this is coming now about maybe 20 years too late. I thought we would have been seeing this kind of stuff around the turn of the 21st century, you know, going into the space age. But a certain big event happened to kind of maybe scupper that plan. But here we are now. We're on the cusp of mining asteroids. You know, what happens if we do go out there? I can't remember what show I seen this on. Can't remember who was talking about it. It might have been Alien Scientist, because I watched that quite a lot. Never mind. But what happens when somebody out there locates and manages to mine an asteroid with, say, more titanium than actually exists on the planet at present time? Think of what game-changing kind of stuff we could be facing when we're starting to pull in, I don't know, gold, possibly diamonds, all that kind of stuff from space. And the militarization, that's another side of it altogether. You know, I think they've been militarizing and weaponizing space for a long, long time, ladies and gents. I think there's a whole lot more stuff up there than we'll ever get to know about. When I was in the army, I knew about one satellite, maybe two. That was the one that we were worried about when we were doing communications with. But that was back in the mid-90s. And in a military, or from a military perspective, it was already getting pretty busy up there. So it does make you wonder at times just what technology is up there, what it's been used for. And I can guarantee you a lot of it isn't so that we can sleep easier at night. And then I have to kind of look at what else is going on in the world right now. Because we've been talking a lot about the Pentagon disclosure, if you even want to put that name of it on it, sorry. That for me has served as a big nothing burger, apart from if you're maybe the military industrial complex, because there's a potential threat out there. And when you've got a potential threat out there, that means you can justify heinous big budgets to go and build these space weapons to keep us all safe and warm down here, right? Right? Would I like to go into space? Absolutely. But on one condition, I didn't have to come back to this absolute clown world, this living version of the movie Idiocracy that we now live in, right? I know, it's pretty dramatic. I'm wanting to blast off and out of here. But I would imagine I'm not the only person that feels that way right now. So we're going to stick with space, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to stick with space. We've got about another 10 minutes till we get to the break. And then after the break, we're going to dial up the woo. We're going to dial up the alien factor. We're going to get into some crazy, crazy stuff, okay? But crazy, not as in it's insane. Well, some of it might be. But you know us, we like a good bit of insanity on the Kev Baker Show, right? And remember, folks, tell everyone about KBS and TFR. It's the only way that we'll continue to grow, and we will continue to bring you all of the information that you desire. Okay, so if I come over here now, we're going to Mars. And maybe if I am looking to get off this planet, Mars is probably going to be about the best bet. Not right now. I don't think there's bases on Mars right now. I said I don't think. I don't know. I'm open to listen to people that say there are bases on Mars, because I also think that Mars played a big part in our history, as in our species history at one point. It is what it is. But what's going on Mars? Well, not that. Check this out. Evidence of life on Mars may have been erased. So when I read this today, it made me think of when they done the Apollo mission up to the moon, right? And until recently, they'd actually lost, believe it or not, they had lost some of the film of that historic event that did or didn't take place that way, depending on what you believe about the moon landing. And that's what I thought when I started to see this. So somebody somewhere in the halls of geniuses that make up NASA, that they've managed to erase the data. And when it comes to evidence of life on Mars, you can look at the earlier Voyager mission, I think it was, that arguably already showed that there was water there, bacterial life. And this isn't anything new. It's just that I think now it's back in the 70s. I don't think it was it wasn't time for that. We weren't ready to be getting into things like this. But now I think we're at that stage in the game, that stage in the cycle, the timetable, call it what you will. So let's see what's going on here. It says NASA Curiosity rover has discovered that evidence of ancient life on the red planet may have been scrubbed. Wah, wah, wah. There's nowhere beyond the Earth more tantalizing in the search for evidence of alien life than Mars, a world that was once very much like our own planet, with oceans, lakes, and rivers. While today it is an arid, desolate place, scientists have long hoped that evidence of its watery past and the organisms that may have thrived during that time can still be found there. Now, though, a new study has revealed that at least some of the potential evidence of past life on Mars may have been erased through geological processes that may be common across the planet. Clay is often seen as a valuable material in the search for evidence of life, both because it forms when rocky minerals weather away after contact with water, and because it's also good at preserving microbial fossils. When Curiosity recently took samples of an ancient mudstone at the site of a dried up lake bed, however, some of it contained significantly fewer clay minerals than would be expected. Scientists now believe that brine, which is essentially very salty water, may have leaked into the clay layers and destabilized them, wiping away potential signs of biological life. We used to think that once these layers of clay minerals formed at the bottom of the lake in Gale Crater, they stayed that way, preserving the moment in time that they formed billions of years ago, said the study lead author Tim Bristow. But later, brine breaks down these clay minerals in some places, essentially resetting the rock record. And that's quite interesting, because that could mean in our past as well, where they say, look, there's no evidence of life below this layer. The microbes start here. And well, what if something happened to the evidence? What if something like this took place where, oh, well, maybe there was stuff kicking about here when it wasn't meant to be kicking about here? And that's something we keep coming back to a lot, especially since we've been working with Evan and Stephen Strong. The fact that our story, our history, his story, is very much different from what has actually taken place here. His story is a version of events, a number of the cycles, perhaps, that we've been through, but it doesn't tell the full story. And I often get left wondering, using my imagination, trying to think just how often we've gone through this before. That's really crazy, right? Really crazy when you think about that. Not even just how often other people have gone through this before, but maybe us ourselves. Okay, not in the form of Kev or Bernays Sauce or or Lucky or anyone out there that past lives. How many times have we done this? How many times have we been here? And how many times is it set to go on? That's what I would like to know, right? So listen, we're almost on the break. And when we come back after the break, we're going to be taking a look at some weird bioengineered bodies, demons, fallen angels, and the men in black. And it's a fascinating theory all rolled into one. How does that sound? Sounds absolutely fantastic to me. And then as the show progresses tonight, let me give you a taste of some of the stuff we've got going on here. I've got another story about strange encounters at military and government facilities. Aliens, strange beasts, and more. Oof. Then we've got one, and this came up after I'd done a stream the other day. Couldn't believe it. Done a stream where, dare I say it, we were talking about mermaids and mermen. I don't know, there's something really funny about saying merman. It's like, it's got to be like the woke. Mermen have got to be like the wokest form of things in the world, right? I don't know, it's just what my head tells me. Anywho, the story I've got here is killer mermaids return to Zimbabwe and 2 mermaid museums open in the US. Now, I didn't even know that mermaids had ever been to Zimbabwe in the first place, so I'm really eager to find out about the return of these mermaids or mermen. Hey, mermam. Excuse me, it's mermam. Exactly. Listen. Even mermaids, we need them to state their pronouns, ladies and gentlemen. We need them to state their pronouns. So, on top of that, we've also got some creepy ghosty stories. And one of them here, the title is My Family is Cursed. And that's bad enough, right? But it gets worse, right? My family is cursed.
A clown shows up at everyone's 10th birthday party.
But nobody ever hired any clowns. Who hires the clowns, folks? Oh, yes, the creepy clowns are coming your way. And if that wasn't enough, I've also got another creepy story, which is entitled, We Created the Rules for a Haunted House That Shouldn't Exist. Now, as adults, we've only gone and found a house matching its description. So you can imagine it gets a whole lot worse from that point forward, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I don't know because I've not read it, but that was the one that won. It won the award of the scariest, creepiest story for July on Reddit/r/no sleep. Yes, indeed. So if that isn't, a claim enough, I do not know. So, ZX, my good friends, is reliably informing me here before we go to the break. Breaking news, you don't get UFOs in Wales. The sheep freak the ETs out. Now, I actually am willing to go along with that, ZX. I am willing to go along with it. Wales is memorable for a number of things, to me. Rain, definitely one of them. Always a miserable cold wind. And sheep. Lots of sheep. Now, people out there will be thinking, well, that must have been a bit of a conundrum for you, Baker, being a Highlander. Usually Highlanders really like their sheep, right? Not when you're stuck in Wales. Not when you're stuck in Wales, ladies and gentlemen. And the music saved us from the confessions of a sheep lover. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting warmed up. Aye, you crazy people out there, eh? So listen, let me shove on some tunes. Let me get a little drink. There's Captain Obvious. Shall we have a little bit of AOC? Okay, then. You insisted. Look at her go. Oh, I swear she's doing that dance for me. I swear she is. But I'll be back in a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second part of today's simulcast, Kev Baker Show, on the home of the Kev Baker Show, Truth Frequency Radio, tfrlive.com. And we're also going out on Kev Baker Show live streaming on YouTube. Big shout out to everyone over there. And we're going to get into some aliens and UFO woo and all that stuff coming up in just a moment. But if you're somebody like me that really is keenly into UFOs, like beyond just the surface level, you really spend a lot of time thinking about that kind of thing. Aliens, ufology, we've had the whole disclosure debacle going on. Been a really, really tough time in the UFO community, especially lately. Because I don't know how many people out there have been following what's been going on, but, you know, a month or so ago, amidst all the talk that I do about LARPing and mimetic warfare and grifting and liars and everything else, if somebody had said to me, Kev, what's the one kind of UFO case where you would, like, if you had money and time and ways to research it, or maybe one that has the potential to really open people's eyes to there being something else out there going on, something really strange. I think, you know, a lot of the time I probably would have offered up the Travis Walton story as being right up there as one of my favourites, you know. Fire in the sky, you know, the abduction thing, the forestry workers coming home, the lights in the woods. And for me, it's always been like, wow, that's one of my go-to stories, right? Even that has been called into question now, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not that I shift my opinion and my belief the minute somebody says something contrary to what I've believed for years. Because I must admit, I rejected this when I first heard it. I thought, no, not Travis Walton. But what I always encourage you people out there to do, I always tell you to go and look at the stuff that really challenges some of the things that you just take for granted. And that's one of those things that I've just taken for granted. It's always passed the stress test for me and wouldn't hear anything else about it. Only it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And there is information out there that really does call into question that whole event. Now, I'm not going to go on about this, but what I will do is somebody who is keen on UFOs, who does want to try and get to the actual truth. And look, it's okay to enjoy a good yarn, enjoy a good story. Yeah, we're all about that. But if you're really wanting to get to the facts, what we do and don't know and what's real and what's not, there's a couple of YouTube channels I would strongly recommend. You might love them, you might hate them. I provide, you decide. And they've certainly kept me right. As much as, like I say, at times, they've really rubbed me up the wrong way because they've caused me to question things I thought were already fact. And those channels are Truth Seekers, and that's run by somebody called Stephen Cambion. And there's also Alien Scientist, who I have mentioned in the past as well. Now, Alien Scientist, he's a very unique cup of tea because not only do they do brilliant UFO research, but they're also working on like anti-gravitic propulsion. He gets together fellow physicists and they've got workshops and they do presentations. And if you're into UFO science geekery, I can recommend nobody Nobody better than alien scientist, okay? So, with that said, we're going to look at alien stories moving on. It's just when I looked at some of the stuff there during the break. And some of it, again, is very questionable. And how do we verify some of these stories? How can we get to a place where we can fact check a lot of what's been said when it comes to these? Unfortunately, we can't. Unfortunately, we can't, because a lot of it's going to be based on anecdotal evidence, and that's fine. It's evidence, but it's anecdotal evidence. When you hear some of the things, I'll let you kind of take my checklist. When you hear people talking about classified information that the government have, and somehow they've got a hold of it, red flag right away. Because we can see what happens to people that deal in classified information. Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, and just recently the guy who blew the whistle on the war crimes with the drones. He's in jail. So when you it doesn't matter even if there's crimes involved. If you start revealing classified intel, you don't get to run about on YouTube doing it 9 times out of 10. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And that for me will always be a big red flag. Always be a big red flag. And when people come along making incredible claims and not a lot to back it up, you have to be very aware that that's all it is then. That's all it can be, is just an incredible claim. Because until evidence is there to support these claims, it's nothing more than a yarn. It's nothing more than a story. At least I've got the decency to tell you all when I take you to Speculation Island. I'm not building a career and writing books off the back of lies, LARPs, and grifting. A lot of these people are. And the reason it pisses me off, yeah, I said the P word, the reason it pisses me off is because you're all like me. You're all looking for answers. You're all avidly keen on this topic. And what irks me is that there's people out there knowingly blowing smoke up your tuchus. And what makes it worse for me as somebody in the alternative media is I can see that there's shows that absolutely love to give a platform to these characters that are lying to you. And that's why from this point forward, we'll be calling them out. Not that we're better than anyone else, but just I'm fed up to the back teeth of these clowns, thinking they're something they're not, pretending to all of you they're something they're not, when in reality, they're no better than anyone else out there, okay? So with that said, we're going to take a little look at a story, not about an alien. We'll get off aliens now, right? We'll change subject for a minute, right? I'm off my soapbox now, folks. I'm off it, right? Drink a coffee. Drink coffee. Don't, I tell you, you start affecting my UFOs, I get angry. That's my line in the sand, folks. Take away my freedoms, but don't take away my UFOs, all right? So anyway, if we come over here, it says, the mystical and mysterious lost city of the Himalayas. And I think it's probably one of the few times it's probably going to be appropriate for me to play.
It goes far beyond one man. This needs to be fought against. This cannot be taken lying down.
Now, I only use him because obviously he's talking about India going to war with China in the Himalayas. But I should have played that. I should have played that after my UFO rant. Because I'm not going to take this line down anymore. I'm just not. Listen, folks, I'm having a bit of a laugh and a joke, but with a serious underpinning to it as well, okay? Okay. People will hate me, but that's okay. Because I don't know. I didn't, set out to win a popularity contest. I really didn't. So if I rub people up the wrong way, that says more about them than it does about me. So, hey, it is what it is. So let's head to the Himalayas, right? So since time unremembered, throughout history and cultures, there have always been tales of mystical, magical places lying lost out over the horizon. We as a species seem to innately love such lore. That idea of some lost civilization or wondrous city hidden away from us beyond the fringes of what we know. And such stories appear in the legends and cultures across geographical divides. One such story that has persisted for millennia is that of a fantastical city hidden away within the Himalayan mountains. Or the Himalaya Mountains, it says here. So, thought to be an exquisite realm of beauty and magic, and long said to be unreachable by all but the most worthy. I don't know if I've heard, or I have. Shambhala, yeah, okay. So, there have been many tales about the mysterious, mystical realm called Shambhala. Going back in time, unremembered, the name Shambhala itself comes from Sanskrit word meaning place of peace or place of silence, although it has gone by countless other names over the centuries, including being called the Forbidden Land, the Land of White Waters, Pure Land, the Land of Radiant Spirits, the Land of Wonders. All it's missing is the Land of Woo, right? And many, many others. And it's been part of the fabric of the local lore of the mountainous wilds of Tibet for thousands of years. So the city, which is said to exist somewhere between the Himalaya Mountains and the Gobi Desert, is typically described as a sort of heaven on earth, a wondrous place of eternal peace, love, and happiness. Here, there is no war, no poverty, or sickness, or hunger. There is perpetual harmony, and no sadness, anger, or pain. It is a place of plenitude and majestic beauty, where everyone is forever youthful and healthy. The lair of the enlightened, speaking their own sacred language, a realm where it never grows cold or dark, and where its denizens exist eternally in a state of utter bliss. In short, it is the embodiment of the Tibetan Buddhist earthly perfection. The city is often said to lie within a mysterious place called the Valley of the Blue Moon. And James Hilton's 1933 book, Lost Horizon, would describe of this valley. For the valley was nothing less than an enclosed paradise of amazing fertility, in which the vertical difference of a few thousand feet spanned the whole gulf between temperate and tropical. Crops of unusual diversity grew in profusion and contiguity, with not an inch of ground untended. The whole cultivated area stretched for perhaps a dozen miles, varying in width from 1 to 5, and through narrow, it had the luck to take sunlight at the hottest part of the day. The atmosphere, indeed, was pleasantly warm even out of the sun, though the little rivulets that watered the soil were ice cold from the snows. Conway felt again, as he gazed up at the stupendous mountain wall, that there was a superb and exquisite peril in the scene. But for some chance-placed barrier, the whole valley would clearly have been a lake, nourished continually by the glacial heights around it, instead of which a few streams dribbled through to fill reservoirs and irrigate fields and plantations with a disciplined conscientiousness worthy of a sanitary engineer. The whole design was almost uncannily fortunate, so long as the structure of the frame remained unmoved by the earthquake or landslide. This place sounds beyond magical. Wow. So there are also many prophecies written of in ancient texts orbiting Shambhala, often mentioning it as the location in which there will one day be a final battle between darkness and light, from which the light will prevail and usher in a golden age of benevolence and enlightenment upon the world. Another alternate version of this tale is that the world will one day be destroyed through terrible cataclysmic war and violence, with only Shambhala spared, a sanctuary amid the destruction. And after this was after this, there will be an enlightened king who will venture forth and shine light upon the world once more. One Shambhala scholar in the 1920s by the name of Edwin Birnbaum would say of this, for centuries the people of Tibet and Mongolia have believed in the existence of Shambhala, where a line of enlightened kings is said to be guarding the highest wisdom for a time when all spiritual values in the world outside will be lost in war and destruction. Then, according to prophecy, a great king will come out of the sanctuary to defeat the forces of evil and establish a golden age. Oh, hashtag Shambhala. I'm telling you, we all need a bit of Shambhala. Let's get this king here. I'm telling you, beware any royalty, folks. You don't have to agree with that. Oh. Dang. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Annie had them. Annie always comes first. As much as I love all of you out there, A, priorities, and B, I've got enough bruises from shoes. I know it is what it is, right? We all know it. So, listen, before I try and persuade you all to come to Shambhala with me, it says it all sounds like a pretty nice place to be, but the catch, and there's always a bloody catch, isn't there? There's always a catch, bloody catches, is that one of the most prevalent legends surrounding Shambhala is that it's not a place that just anyone can go to. According to the lore, the woke will burst into I'm only joking, sorry. That was just me wishful thinking, right? The woke people would turn to dust when they walk. I know. I need to give it up, right? Come on. So, according to the lore, it is said that the valley and its city are hidden from the world of most mortals, reclusive and impossible to reach by any material means that we possess. Indeed, it's said to exist on Earth, but outside of the physical plane beyond our eyes, somewhere between this world and the next, only reachable through great purity of heart, meditation, spiritual advancement, extremely good karma, or enlightenment. Otherwise, one cannot actually ever arrive there. In other words, only the worthy may enter, and the lore says a physical journey there would be fruitless and futile, with the valley and its city only attainable through a spiritual quest rather than a physical one. And only then is it experienced as a physical place that can be seen and touched. Oh boy, a lot of hoops for us to jump through before we get here, folks. I see a lot of tough times ahead. Oh. Oh. Coffee went down the wrong way, excuse me. Wow. So let me just read this. According to the lore, okay, we've done that, but I'm okay now. I thought I choked on coffee there, folks. Oy. In other words, only the worthy may enter. I know how you get into Shambhala. I know the magic word. Do you know what the magic word to get into Shambhala is? Coffee is always better drunk, ladies and gentlemen. Coffee is not for inhaling in liquid form. Note to self. But do you know what the magic word to get into Shambhala is? Whatever. Remember the Strongs? What they told us? When things are getting tough, it might be, people are rubbing you up the wrong way, or they're pestering you with things that you've got absolutely no control over. The best way is just to throw your hands up in the air, say whatever, and walk away, right? I think that's how you get into Shambhala. I think it is. So, it goes on to say here, oh, that that coffee definitely went down the wrong way. So, in other words, only the worthy may enter. And the Lord says a physical journey there would be fruitless and futile, with the valley and its city only attainable through a spiritual quest rather than a physical one. And only then is it experienced as a physical place that can be seen and touched. Despite this deep belief that Shambhala cannot be reached by physical journey alone, this has not stopped the belief that this has not stopped people from trying. And there are various stories of people even succeeding. One such story was written by the anthropologist Helen Valborg from a chapter of her book titled Symbols of the Eternal Doctrine, From Shambhala to Paradise, in which she describes a hunter who found it by chance and of which she says, big shout out to Ken Ami, big shout out Ken, check out Ken's work, there's some brilliant stuff. So to quote this lady here, it says, wandering in a hidden valley beneath the snow-wrapped shoulders of the Dalagiri or Dalagiri Massif, a lone hunter from the region of Dolpo hearkened to the echo of llamas chanting and the beating of drums. Tibetans tell the story of how the simple transient followed the sound of the music towards its source, which brought him to a doorway in a great cliff. Whoa. Now that's pretty weird, because I've heard stories about the bad guys from World War II when they were going around the world trying to gather up ancient texts, technology, information. Now, I don't know whether it's true or not, because I remember it was a Coast to Coast or a show like that. But I remember somebody talking about how they literally went to, and it was the Himalayas. They went there and they basically cut a big doorway that was already in the mountain. That they cut that out. I don't know if this relates anything to what we're hearing here, but I must say, pretty damn good woo. Passing through it, he found himself in a beautiful valley adorned with verdant rice fields, villages, and a gracious monastery. And what do we often talk about with Naysay on the show? Our Paleo-American brother. What does he often tell us about? That mountains are places where star people can come and go. What have we learned about Australia as well? We've been hearing the similar kind of stuff about these mountains. I think it's the Snowy Mountains, if memory serves me correctly, over in Australia, where there's a whole heap of woo tied to them as well. Okay? But if we come back over here, it says, the people who lived in this valley were peaceful and happy, and they extended to a hunter a warm welcome, urging him to stay. He was delighted with their blissful existence, but soon became too anxious to go back to his own family and bring them to enjoy the valley. The residents there warned him that they would not be able to find the way back, but he was determined to leave. As he made his way out through the cliff door, he took the precaution of hanging his gun and his shoes beside the entrance to market. Confidently, he went to fetch his wife and children, but when he returned to the hidden valley, he found the gun and the shoes hanging in the middle of a blank rock wall. Westerners also have often sought to reach this mythical, fabled land. In 1833, the Hungarian scholar George Soros Jr., I'm only joking, the Hungarian scholar Sandor Karossi Kozoma claimed to have found a fabulous country in the north, situated between 45 and 50 degrees north latitude, widely said to be referring to the lost city. In the 19th century, it was a major goal of the Theosophy movement, with the famous Psychic and Theosophical Society co-founder Ilana Blavatsky claiming to have actually been there and studied various esoteric beliefs and gained amazing abilities there. In the 1920s, the explorer Nicholas Rorschach travelled through Tibet and the Himalayas on a 5-year excursion, ostensibly to study or just to study the area, but rumoured to be on a concerted effort to find Shambhala. During his travels, Rorschach would travel deep into territory that no other Westerner had ever seen at the time, entering a world that had long been isolated from the rest of civilization. Lucky part of the world. I wish I could go to a part of the world that's isolated from civilization right now. I'm not saying it's gone bat crap crazy, but it's going bat crap crazy. So it was here in this cold, faraway realm that he would allegedly find a series of ancient books and scrolls sequestered within the remote monasteries that would supposedly point the way to the mystical city. And he followed every lead or rumour he could of anything to do with Shambhala. They believed that they had found that Beluga Mountain in the Altai Mountains was an entrance to Shambhala, but it is not known if he ever really did find it. Another notable expedition in research of Shambhala was carried out in the 1920s by a man named Gleb Boki, the chief Bolshevik cryptographer, and we'll come back on the other side to see how Gleb Boki got on with his quest to make it to Shambhala. Don't go anywhere. Oh, yes. So give me a couple of minutes here, folks. And I apologise for nearly choking on my coffee. Woof. That was a close one. Whose comments are getting approved? Sid, we already seen earlier on, we have got one of the Google team, be it a chat bot or a physical human. Either way, big shout out to Google moderator team. And I would imagine that's why probably some comments are needing to be approved. It is what it is, folks. Probably an algorithm learning. Either way, we're all happy here. We're all happy here. We're playing by the rules. We're playing by the rules. Not much else I can do than that, right? So listen, I'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for hour number 2 of today's Kev Baker Show right here on your number one network, Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. Now, let me just get rid of that little hissing sound in the background. There we go, folks. There we go. Skype was playing up, and Skype is still playing up. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay, let me try that one again. There we go. We are live, I believe. Yes, I think. Maybe. No? Okay, we've got something going on with Skype right now, folks. Give me a second. It's always something, ladies and gents. It's always something. This is Skype. Plainly Skype. Give me a second, folks. Get Skype fixed here. And then we'll be back at it. Here we go. There we go. We're back. We're live. An issue with my Skype. Apologies to everyone listening on TFRlive.com right now. We're also going out on Talk Stream Live. All you got to do is search for the Truth Frequency Radio stream on there, and you can listen to your favourite shows, your favourite hosts from the network on Talk Stream Live. And today, we're over on YouTube as well. I wasn't sure whether I could just do the show or whether I should just do a YouTube stream. So the genius that I am took all of 5 seconds for me to think, I could really take on 2 birds with 1 stone here, and we will just do the simulcast. So with that said, we're going to launch back into it, and we're talking about the mystical city of Shambhala. Oh boy, do I wish I was there. Maybe, perhaps, you could only enter this location if you are a very enlightened individual. Maybe if you are one of these Tibetan type monks. Maybe if you're somebody that's very in tune with Creator. If you're somebody that's very in tune with the energies of the planet and you appreciate your part that you play in this magical system that we find ourselves in. Maybe only you would see the doorway to this other realm. Lesser men, women, and 148 other identifiers that people use nowadays, maybe they wouldn't even see the same door because they aren't enlightened enough. They haven't let go of all of the baggage that we all amount and amass on this plane. And they haven't said what? They haven't said whatever. Because that's the attitude we need to have. Just whatever. And I tell you, things start to glide off you like water off a duck's back. It just straight over the top of your head and whatever. There's things in this world we can deal with. There's things in this world we've got no input in. Whatever. It's your journey, folks. It's your journey. And the question is the destination Shambhala? Sounded good at the time. Well, is that a good way to launch back into it, right? Come on. You know what I'm like. Come on. Come on. So if we come back over here, we were dealing with this gentleman here, Gleb Boki. Great name. Great name. Big Gleb, the chief Bolshevik cryptographer and one of the bosses of the Soviet secret police, along with his writer friend Alexander Barchenko, who hoped to find the city in an effort to find a way to perfect communism. They hoped that the secret wisdom of the lost city would allow them to somehow find the secret to perfect communist beings. But the expedition was fruitless, and another planned follow-up never did get off the ground. I would imagine if you're going looking for the very, very, very mystical city of Shambhala, I would imagine if you go there with politics in mind, you're not going to get in. Political baggage is definitely going to weigh you down, ladies and gentlemen. You don't take that filthy, horrible stuff in there. Not to Shambhala. So it said, instead leading to a failed mission by the Soviet Foreign Commissariat in 1924. There have been other expeditions in search of Shambhala as well, notably those allegedly carried out by the bad guys during World War II. But as far as anyone knows, none of these efforts have ever actually managed to find it. And Shambhala, if it ever existed in any real sense at all, still manages to elude those who have not made the required spiritual journey. Maybe the bad guys that went to look for it, maybe they never came home. Maybe they never came home. Maybe it's got a portal from Shambhala to the South Pole. Now I'm making things up. Come on. I'm allowed to. It's my show and I'll make things up if I want to. But at least I tell you when I'm making it up. In fact, the location of where it is supposed to be has been debated for centuries, with even ancient texts unable to come to a consensus on its general earthly location. Now I've got a really comical picture of a bunch of ancient texts all getting together to see if they could reach a consensus. They're all sitting around a table debating whether Shambhala is real. Well, if I just flick myself to page 504, in the Sanskrit it tells me probably never worked like that. Probably isn't the kind of effect that our good friend, I think it was Nick Redfern, not Brent, it probably wasn't the effect that Brent was looking for in the first place. But anywho, in the end, the lost land of Shambhala remains as enigmatic and unreachable as it has always been, I would say. Always, and perhaps always will be. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, there you go. So, Shambhala, is it real? Is it not? I would like to think that with all the talk we do about spiritual planes, different planes of existence, different dimensions, and I'm rolling my eyes kind of because I don't even know if we've got the right language to explain or to describe what the true nature of reality is all about. But in my working hypothesis, I would like to think that on one of these ethereal planes that might be here in our same physical space, just it vibrates at a different rate. I'd like to think there maybe could be a Shambhala out there. I do. And hey, no harm done. If it is, it is. It is. And if it isn't, it isn't. We can build our own Shambhala, ladies and gentlemen. We can build our own. Build it, and they will come. Just ask Jim Jones. Anywho, moving on to our next story now. Here we go. So, this is where it starts to get really wacky and weird. Big shout out to Nick Redfern. I'm going to stop giving Nick a shout out until he comes back on the show again. Not that he needs me to give him a shout out. He's more than famous enough without me alerting people to his name. But I'm trying to get Nick back on. I've got like various people trying to get his Nick back on. I'm even starting to think it was a Mandela effect that we ever had him on in the first place. I sometimes have to message Johnny Whistles and say to him, Whistles, did we really have a conversation with Nick Redfern? Because it's been that dang long now. It's been that dang long. I think we spoke to Nick Redfern before Trump was even a politician. And I know, I argue that he never was one in the first place. But hey, you feel me? That's a long time ago. So, bioengineered bodies, demons, fallen angels, and the men in black. A fascinating theory. And if at any time I can throw in one of Jimmy Jean's organic robotoids, I think we'll have a full set here, right? So turn down the lights. The woo is about to get dialed up to the max. So it says here, I've come across a lot of theories for who or what the men in black might be. The list includes government agents, time travelers, shapeshifters, and more. Today, though, I'm going to share with you portions of a story that is incredibly creepy. It's a story that comes from a man named Peter McMillan. Looking for answers to the truth behind the men in black, Peter believes there's a demonic angle to all of this. he very generously and openly shared his theories with me. Peter says it's been reported that the Men in Black manifest very unusual physical forms, facial details, and attire such as quasi to fully material bodies capable of extraordinary feats. Short or wiry frames, white skin, bulging eyes, missing eyebrows or eyelashes. Missing eyebrows? That's a Scotsman after a party. Lipless mouths and period clothing from a bygone era, ladies and gentlemen. He adds, available bioengineered bodies might still have developmental problems at every stage in the growing process. Is that an organic robotoid? As a practical engineering consequence of this, there might be severe height restrictions, frame volume and density considerations, and time and environmental constraints imposed on the useful, guaranteed operation or life of any particular model. Now, Peter continues that the Judeo-Christian Bible reveals a lot about the different types of spirits that may exist and the ways that they can interact with us. My theory on the MIB is based on an understanding of just two classes of these spirits. Those two classes, says Peter, are
fallen angels and demons.
Oh boy, here we go. So Peter continues, running that model outside of its specific design parameters would notably or noticeably and deleteriously affect the outward appearance, especially if there is a corruption or decay factor added to the equation. As an example, follicle-rich skin, which provides a scaffolding for the eyebrows, may simply or randomly slide off such a body to expose a follicle-less layer beneath. As another example of wearing of lipstick on recently receded lip lines may be a way to compensate for an otherwise stark appearing mouth. As a final example of sometimes reported bulging eyes could be a systematic problem associated with the defects in a bioengineered thyroid gland, or what passes for the thyroid. They also observed quasi-material or even ghostly appearing states of some MIBs, Men in Black, can be accounted for by considering the very same technology that permits an observed UFO to suddenly appear, move, or morph in defiance of natural physical laws and finally blink out of existence. Today's frontier research scientists at MIT or elsewhere are already doing things like this with individual photons and tiny bits of real matter. Peter has far more to state. Quote, imagine not having ever gone through the growing stages from birth to a toddler, adolescent, teenager to young adult. These bioengineered bodies come fully mature and ready to go right out of the box. The captured, disembodied demon spirit crawls inside the baited body of flesh and starts to manipulate it. Assuming that with any incarnation there is no prior memory of who or what it was before, and the demon might well ask the question, who am I? Having been assigned period clothing for the purpose of its mission, this would also no doubt compensate for a lack of any real identity. I believe the Men in Black would desperately cling to that style of clothing for an entire lifetime, much like an insecure child might hold on to a security blanket. Who am I? The Men in Black asks himself. I am black fedora hat and black open collar trench coat. That is who I am, and that is my identity. When did the Men in Black begin to appear? 1940s, it says in brackets. And what was the typical profession or business attire for men at that time? Was it fedora hats and trench coats? So fedora hats were very popular during a period from the 1920s to the 1950s. In fact, fedora hats and long trench coats worn together were widely preferred by men as a practical means of fully protecting the entire body from wind and weather. Any bioengineered body would need insulation against the damaging environment at all times. Extreme photosensitivity to light, common among albinos, might also explain why some white skinned MIB wore sunglasses and drove black cars. And they reduce reflected glare. And the same can be said for their choice of colour in clothing. The same line of thought regarding period cars and personal identity might also apply. And finally, from Peter, there is this. Many testimonies relate how odd these men in black appear to be in their conversation, walk, facial expressions, body language, and other actions or movements. Our lives must be innately foreign to a demon. Originally, these entities sprung forth as monstrous distortions of the flesh before the flood. Their societies, ideologies, needs, desires, lusts, and thoughts would have no parallel to our own. In their natural environment, they would exhibit a behaviour completely outside our ken. No idea. Outside our ken, whatever. Okay, in Scotland, ken, no, maybe outside our knowledge. Okay. Demon slaves probably don't want to be told what to do by their fallen angelic masters anyway, and therefore are likely to manifest both their scent behaviour as well as their natural default demon like behaviour at the same time. Just as with any highly trained monkey, these synthetic fleshed, demonically possessed men in black would characteristically shift back and forth between what they were sent to do professionally by command and what they actually prefer to do by nature. Why are most visitations of the men in black limited to eyewitnesses of standard UFO sightings? An exception would be the case involving the Mothman prophecies? Question mark. Like psychic vampires, these men in black seem to be able to drain a person's energy and even break their will. Witnesses have reported being mentally confused, being in a dreamlike state, or even being probed telepathically. No lube required with the telepathic probe, ladies and gentlemen. It's just their mind to your mind. Oh, it's all that melding stuff going on. No lube. Regardless of these kinds of manifestations, all continue to report being both afraid and intimidated. What is it with the men in black? I really have no solid conclusions on what we're dealing with there. I really don't. There's something about the men in black that J.J. Abrams definitely tapped into when he made the TV show Fringe. And anyone who's watched Fringe, you'll be aware of the observers that are in Fringe. Now, for me, they're very, very men in black-ish. And people might say, well, no, not really. They're a bit weird. They like Tabasco sauce. They're all named after months of the year. And they're just not the same. They're very, very similar. And for anyone out there who hasn't checked out the Mothman Prophecies, not the film, but the actual book, it's a sin that it's got the Mothman in the title. Because the Mothman only makes up such a little portion of the whole story. And again, I've said it before, but the thing that really piqued my interest was the bizarre accounts and eyewitness reports of what these entities, because I don't want to say they're human, they're entities of some kind. I don't know if they're demonic, I don't know if they're organic robotoids, I don't know if they are time travelers. It's almost as if at times they're here. When the woo happens, it's almost as if They're here to observe how we react to it. If that makes sense. To catalogue, to record what's going on. Very, very weird indeed. There's something about that whole Men in Black thing for sure. Now, it mentioned psychic vampires there. I'm watching a TV show right now. It's not psychic vampires, but it's actual, like, proper vamps. Yep. And it's Van Helsing. It's been on Netflix for a good few years now. Johnny Whistles told me about it years ago, but I've only just started watching it, and boy, oh boy, am I really, really enjoying that. If you're into a bit of supernatural, paranormal, kind of action show, you could probably do a lot worse than Van Helsing. Yes, indeed. So we're going to move on now. Now it's Nick Redfern. It's his turn. Strange encounters at military and government facilities. Ooh. Aliens, strange beasts, and more. So what are we thinking? Are we thinking Montauk is going to come up in this? Are we thinking the Montauk Project? I'm thinking Montauk. We'll see. We'll see. We're reading it raw together, folks. We're doing it live. Yes, I am one of the few people that will admit to you when I've just grabbed a headline and we're going to do this. We're going to do it raw, indeed. Like I say, I didn't even know if I was going to be doing any shows today, and now here we are. We're doing a simulcast. I'm telling you. And we've only got, what, 5 minutes of this segment to go? And then one more segment before we go away today? I think I'll be opening up the phones on the other side, and if it starts to go horribly wrong, I'll probably just hang up. But maybe. We'll see what happens, because I've got another good ghost story to get to. But anywho, let me get back to it. Time flies when you're having fun, you know. So then, ever wondered just how much strange, mysterious, paranormal, and ufological activity has taken place at military and government facilities? If I was to tell you about my encounters with that kind of thing when I was in the military, ladies and gentlemen, A, I'd be breaking the Official Secrets Act, and B, I'd be LARPing my ass off because I never came into contact with anything like that. See, I can't even LARP for a second. I can't even lie about the LARP. Damn. Oh, who knew? Who knew having morals and scruples would be such a handicap when it comes to being a big YouTuber and big show? Who knew? Anyhow, integrity, ladies and gentlemen, is a very funny animal indeed. So just about everyone knows about Area 51. So I won't go down that path. And just about everyone who has an interest in UFOs will know about the Rendlesham Forest UFO landing. It took place at the Royal Air Force Woodbridge military base in December 1980. But now let's take a look at some lesser known cases of strange phenomena at other such facilities. I'll begin with the 1940s and a US government program titled Project Twinkle.
Project Twinkle. Whee!
I don't know, I just in my head, it had to be said with that voice. So it sounds very woke, does Project Twinkle. That's all I'm saying. Hey, is what it is, all right? And if you're wondering why I keep looking over here, folks, it's the network clock, okay? That's the thing. What's that baker looking at away off to the side there? It's the network. Actually forgot we were simulcasting and panicked there. I thought we were on the break. Anywho, Project Twinkle's where we're at. The top secret mandate was, or its top secret mandate was to investigate reports of strange, brightly lit green fireballs. Goodness gracious, great balls of green. I know, it didn't work, right? Many of which were seen near the Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico. Many of the staff believed the fireballs were under intelligent control, and personnel at Kirtland were unsure as to what the balls of light were. Theories included Russian devices. Why? Because it's always the Ruskies. Perhaps even sent to get photos of the base. There was also the possibility of secret domestic devices of the US military, and there was the extraterrestrial angle too. Confusingly, all of the theories had some degree of merit. Now, while the Twinkle program was ultimately closed and fell into a degree of obscurity, the now available files offer an intriguing insight into the phenomenon. Now, let's look at werewolves at military bases. Yes, you heard me right, ladies and gents. So, Linda Godfrey's first class research into American werewolves has demonstrated that we are just about to go to the break. Yes, indeed, we are just about to go to the break, and we'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. Well, I don't know about you people out there, right? But I'm going to let you into a little secret. I love simulcasting. I do. I miss all this. And we're going to have to do more of these simulcasts. Dagnammit. Yes, indeed. So listen, dang Germans, exactly. Yes, Anne, I am doing my show as well. You see? I know Anne is not a happy person. She wanted me just to do the YouTube today, so that way she knows people on YouTube are more understanding if I have to take a little breather. And when you're on the radio, that maybe doesn't come across to people listening on the radio. So Anne was thinking, we'll just do YouTube today. But you see, you folks, we all got together. I draw on your energy like the little psychic vampire that I am, and we're simulcasting. I'm not a psychic vampire, ladies and gents. Don't cut that out. Don't clip it. Please don't clip it. You know, people would love to have me saying that, right? Don't do it to me, please.
Please don't do it.
Okay, so tomorrow, before we go back live, tomorrow, I really want to start testing out Odyssey live streaming. So I'm going to be simulcasting at some point during the day tomorrow, but it's going to be just just me sitting here practicing, seeing how to get it working. If you see me going live, I'll probably just put test as the title. You're more than welcome to come and join me. Just don't be expecting any structured kind of show or any revelations to come out during our time together. It's going to be basically spreading our digital wings, ladies and gentlemen. I really like Odyssey for upload speed, so I want to see what it's like for live streaming. But with that said, we've got a radio gig to get back to. You ready? I am. There we go. We're back. We're live. A final segment of today's Kev Baker Show simulcast. Yes, indeed. And don't forget tomorrow, Scotty Lopez, Nacy, and myself. Already a stellar lineup, right? But then you add in the manic Joe Joseph. And I tell you, you take it to a whole new level altogether. And we've got that right here for you on TFR Live tomorrow night. TFRlive.com. Midnight in the UK, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. on the West Coast. We'll also be simulcasting on the Kev Baker Show other YouTube channel, the bigger one. We'll be going out on TalkStream Live, the paranormal radio app, and I want all of you to be there too. It's going to be a real woo extravaganza, and we're getting into some good woo right here today to take us up till the end of the show. We may shove on the phones, we don't know yet. I say we, it's only me here, so I need to stop talking about Dave and as if he's really real. But give me 2 secs. Skype pissing. There we go. Back, folks. I'm back. So we were just getting into the bizarre kind of subject of werewolves before the break. Yes. And Linda Godfrey's name came up. And that's on me. I feel kind of bad here because I had Linda Godfrey lined up to come on the show a number of years ago. And whatever happened, it didn't materialise. But the magic pen is out. Linda Godfrey, your name is on the page. You can be expecting a very nice email from me in the next few days because we need to get new guests in here. Now, I was hoping to bring Patrick Berge onto the show to talk about the interactive internet activities, the mimetic warfare, the LARPing, military scale level LARPing, ladies and gentlemen. However, I've been touched base with him and he'd got back to me to say yes, he'd come on the show. Haven't heard back from him about a date yet. I know he's very busy. He's just released his second book. He's also putting together a podcast. I believe it's on Republic Broadcasting Network. I may be wrong. But if you follow him over on Twitter, you'll find out more about that. And I'm very, very hopeful that we'll be able to bring Patrick onto the show in the very near future. Now, I've also got to get in touch with one of the few people that I really, really love and respect in the world of ufology and all of this crazy stuff that I love to get into is Walter Bosley. Now, Walter's been on the show before, but I recently ran into him on one of his live streams, and I thought, well, I'll chance it. I'll ask him, do you want to come back on the show? He said yes, but again, on me, I need to get in touch with them to put that show together. So the reason I bring this up, even though it kind of embarrasses me, yours truly, because twice I've let the ball drop, it's to let you know that we are working behind the scenes. There I go, saying we again, me and Dave. We're working tirelessly to bring you not only good content, but new content as well. And hopefully in the near future, hopefully, if the universe decides that I've been a good guy and everything lines up correctly, hopefully we'll be able to start adding new content over on YouTube in the form of, I don't know, maybe going out to places like Stirling Castle, Roslyn Chapel, Clava Cairns, Edinburgh Castle. I am in the centre of Wooland. I am. And I need to really take advantage of that. So if I get mobile and if I get my wheels, fingers crossed, all that will take care of itself. I am going to be hitting the road and I'm going to be bringing you updates live from some of these very, very famous places in Scotland. I think that'll be something pretty new. I think that'll be pretty unique kind of content for the channel. Not many people doing that. So watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. We are not going anywhere. We're doubling down and we are coming back with more content for all of you right here on TFR Live. And of course, the Kev Baker Show's on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere. We are like a virus, a mind virus. We're a little worm that gets into your brain. And we cause you to think for yourself. Woof. That's a revolutionary kind of statement, eh? Thinking for yourself. Yes, I encourage you to think and think critically and stress test everything you come across in this crazy, crazy real life version of idiocracy that we now find ourselves living in. Yes, indeed. I can't tell you the way the world works, but I'm sure as hell determined to make you think about it yourself, how you think the world works, not somebody else's prepackaged idea that you hear on a podcast or a live stream or a TV show. Nope, nope, nope. We do it differently here. I'm going to put you at the center of your own universe and you have to do the work. You have to do the thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody else can interpret your reality for you. Crazy world we live in, and it's even got werewolves, right? You thought I'd forgotten we were going to the werewolves, but oh, hell no. Hell no. So then, here we go. Linda Godfrey's first class research. Well, first class, not first class. First class research. Polly Nation, long time listener, big supporter, good friend of the channel here, big character over in the disco. He was actually suggesting I should maybe start reading Audible books. Can you imagine if somebody paid to hear me bumbling over words? Oh, I don't think anybody wants that audiobook. No, no, no. I could make the most interesting fictional story sound pretty damn bad, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. But Polly, I love you, man. I love you. So Linda Godfrey's first class research into American werewolves has demonstrated connections to cemeteries, to areas that were perceived as sacred and magical by Native Americans, and, bizarrely, to old military bases too. Her books, Hunting the American Werewolf and Real Wolfmen, make that abundantly clear. Wes is someone who encountered a werewolf at a weapon storage base or a weapon storage area at a British military base. Royal Air Force Alconbury, situated in the county of Cambridgeshire in the 1970s. Now, the beast, said Wes, had a flat snout, very big eyes, a height of around 5 feet, and a weight in the order of 200 pounds. It slowly vanished into the surrounding woods. Moving on, in January 2010, I spoke at a New York State conference called The Ghosts of Cooperstown, which was organised by the stars of the Sci-Fi's channel Ghost Hunters series. It was on the Saturday night of the event that an American soldier, who had then recently returned from serving with the military in the Middle East, revealed to an audience in the hotel bar that he had heard tales of large marauding werewolves roaming by night in the mountains of Afghanistan and some of the more ancient parts of Iraq, and also seen on the perimeters of military facilities. Wow. So, I mean, we've talked about like the giant of Kandahar, things like that, right? But I don't think we've ever dealt with like werewolves over in Afghanistan or Iraq. I could be wrong, but wow. So, this next one comes from Hilary Goff of the town of Hampshire, England. The date was 1974, and the setting, the Marconi Space and Defence Systems Limited at Frimley, England. At the time, Goff was employed as a draftswoman. Now, back in 1974, she'd have been a draftsman and she'd have just bloody been happy with it. There was no wokeness back then. There was no draftsperson. You were a draftsman. Deal with it. I know. Wokeness triggers me. What can I say? In the Central Services branch, having previously served an apprenticeship in the division of the British Royal Navy, something that ensured she had access to much of the British establishment. Something very serious has happened, hasn't it? She inquired. Yes, was the quiet response. We've had a break-in. I can't say any more. Over the course of several weeks, however, further pieces of the puzzle fell into place. It transpired that the break-in was far more than simply an unauthorised entry. What occurred was nothing short of the penetration of a highly sensitive facility by what some of the staff suspected was an extraterrestrial creature. I was cautiously advised that the incident had occurred late at night and that one witness was a security guard who had been patrolling the building as part of his routine duty. While walking along a corridor, the guard was startled by a dazzling blue light that emanated from one particular room. But this was no ordinary room. It was a storage facility for top secret documentation generated by Marconi as part of its work on behalf of the British government and the Ministry of Defence, much of which was related to classified radar-based programs. Realizing that no one at all should have been in that area at that time of night, the guard burst into the room, only to be confronted by a shocking sight. There, literally sifting through pages and pages of top-secret files, was a grey-skinned humanoid, but decidedly non-human, creature which quickly dematerialized before the shocked guard's eyes. Although severely traumatized by the event, he was able to provide a brief description of the being to his superiors and noted that the blue light emanated from a helmet which encompassed the head of the entity. Another person who has something to say, something very strange, was a man named Ron Peterson, who I met a couple of years ago. After he read my book, Monster Files, he told me a third-hand story of how a US Army man stationed at the Dugway Proving Ground. Now, that's a place to be look into. Don't get distracted by the Blackpool, as I call it, of ufology. And by Blackpool's like our seaside town over here. It's got all the attractions, it's got the tower. Great place to go in the summer, right? For me, Area 51, it's like a tourist attraction. The American government, the American military, they are more than happy with people talking about Area 51. Why? Because there ain't anything super secret sauce going on there. It's elsewhere. So if you're distracted by looking at Area 51, that is very, very convenient for the powers that be. That's all I would say. So Dugway Proving Ground, if you haven't looked into that place, it's worth a look. In 1983, I went into a certain room by mistake and saw before him the bodies of 3 massive hair-covered creatures. Bigfoot. They were all upright and in large see-through containers. One of them was badly burned. Now the man stared, amazed and shocked, and then quickly exited the room, concerned that he had just violated security. True? I don't know. I don't know either. Kev talking here, not the article. I don't know either, folks. It sounds like a very tall tale, pardon the pun, dealing with bigger than average humans, or dare I say Bigfoot, but doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. But I must admit, my spidey senses are leaning towards, I don't know. But it's good woo. It's good woo. At least I'm not sitting here telling you that I've had it confirmed by some anonymous source that only I know, and I can assure you this guy works for the government, and nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They've got classified information, and you have to believe me here, folks. No, we're not that show. We're not that show. I encourage people to think for themselves, you know. I don't know. All I can do is hope that someone else comes forward and adds weight to the story. Now, to our final story. Official investigations within the UK of unusual aerial phenomenon started during the First World War. One of the most notable UFO-style reports can be found within the archives of the British Admiralty and dates from, rather incredibly, 1915. Prepared by a Lieutenant Colonel W.P. Drury, the garrison intelligence officer at the military facility of Plymouth Garrison, Devon, England. A 4-page document tells the story. It concerns a series of strange events that occurred on the wilds of Dartmoor, the setting of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's classic novel, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Lieutenant Colonel Drury advised personnel at the Admiralty that on 28th of June 1915, he and a colleague, one Lieutenant C. Brownlow of Naval Intelligence, had interviewed a Miss Cecilia Peel Yates at Dolbear College, Ashburton, about an unusual experience. She informed us that a few mornings previously, just before dawn, having been awakened by the barking of dogs, she saw from her bedroom window a bright light in the sky, bearing north, and apparently suspended a short distance above the earth. So it was too large and too bright for a planet, and as she was watching, it swung to the northeast and disappeared. Ator is due north of Ashburton and 4 miles distant as the crow flies. Now, when I first looked at that there, in my dyslexic mind, that actually said 4 miles distant as the cow flies. But that didn't make much sense, not even to me, because even in my wildest woo, cows don't fly. Not yet. Maybe the ones on the moon do. But we've got time for one more story. The one about the really bad mermaids, really naughty mermaids, returning to Zimbabwe. Like I said in opening up, I didn't even know mermaids had ever been to Zimbabwe, let alone returned there. And then not one but 2 mermaid museums open in the US. Is there something to the mer people? I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. In many countries, mermaids are a maritime myth told by lonely mariners. In parts of the US, particularly Florida, home of the Florida man, it has to be said, mermaids are a form of entertainment at lounges and occasionally used as exercise. All right, not like that. Those flipper costumes give a great cardio workout. Just don't drown. In Maryland and Washington, museums dedicated entirely to mermaids opened recently. And in Zimbabwe, they are feared bad people and appear to have struck again. Wow, murderous mermaids. That'd be a good name for a movie, right? Murderous Mermaids. Part 2, The Return. The Return of Merman. Should the museums and lounges add more security? Probably the geos should think about kicking me off their network. I've lost the plot. But to quote this here, it says, quote, 3 villagers from Mapanzuri communal lands in Masavingo disappeared last Friday after plunging into a pool under mysterious circumstances. The 3, whose identities have not been disclosed, were apparently performing rituals on the banks of the Musogwezi River before jumping into a pool along with 2 other villagers. They have not been seen since last week, and relatives are said to now be conducting rituals for their safe return. Now, not that I'm one to question the cultural ways of what happens in Zimbabwe, but is one's time better spent conducting rituals for their safe return, or maybe putting together a search party? Going looking for these people. I'm just thinking aloud. So that sad news was reported in late July on numerous Zimbabwean media sites. Well, it sounds like a tragic accidental drowning. Another account by a person who survived the incident blames mermaids, who locals believe have been responsible for a lot of bad things happening. Oh boy, there's a mermaid crime wave taking place in Zimbabwe, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying. So Pendula reports that self-styled prophet Amos Cheturi, oh wow, his name's almost Chetahuri, Now, that would have been really cool if he was one of the Chittahoorie, right? But he's not. He's a self-styled prophet. Amos, I'm going to call him Chittahoorie, of Agnes Access Apostolic Church, visited a Shivi family in Tazvigwira to attend to a child who is believed to be mentally ill. Now, as per village protocols, he was joined by the village head, Victor Tazvigwira. Now, while he couldn't do anything for the child, Chittahoorie sensed that Tazvigwira was possessed by the spirit of a person whose bones he had found and needed to be cleansed. They then went to the Muzogwezi River for exorcism and baptism with Tazwigira's wife and 2 children and others, a total of about 9 people. As they entered the pool in the river, this happened. Chittahoorie paced close to the pool. Others started speaking in tongues, ran and plunged into the pool. They heard a huge trembling noise from the pool in the hills above. Forces they could not understand shoved and pushed them under the water. Tazvigwira was one of them, and he told Pindula he came to on the shore, not knowing how he got there. He and Chittahoorie counted heads and realised that 3 of the youths were now missing, including Fungi Berezdavzai, who, according to some relatives, was taken by mermaids on 2 occasions before this. Now, that led them to believe that mermaids were responsible again. Never jump to conclusions. No, you just don't assume anything. You just make an ass out of you and the mermaid. After searching for the girls unsuccessfully, the village brought in a spirit medium identified as Mbuya Juliana, who performed rituals that were said to have caused trembling noises heard 3 times. Then, according to the report, the bodies of the girls emerged from the water. Pindula says that Tazvigwira believes he and his goblin are responsible for arousing the mermaids and wants help. Man, we've got goblins arousing mermaids. We've got rituals going on around water. We've got people talking in tongues. All that crazy stuff going on. Wow, man, what a scene. So maybe he should call the Mermaid Museum, which opened in March in Berlin, Maryland. Smithsonian Magazine reports that the 2,200 square foot venue is located about 10 miles inland, but is dedicated to tracking mermaid sightings from the 1st century CE to as recently as 2017, and contains mermaid scales discovered on the nearby Isle of Wight and a Fiji mermaid, a half monkey, half fish taxidermy model promoted as an authentic 19th century or as authentic by 19th century showman P.T. Barnum. It also has artifacts like the mermaid-shaped Cheeto, references to pop culture mermaids, anti-mermaid spirit charms used by Japanese fishermen, and promotional materials for Florida's Wiki Wachi that hosts underwater mermaid performances. Now, I would definitely be up for going to watch mermaids performing underwater. I would. So it says, if the Maryland Mermaid Museum can't help, then Tazvigwira, the International Mermaid Museum, which opened in April in Western Washington State, and that one is dedicated to teaching ocean ecology from seashore to seafloor, immersed in mermaid mythology, and combines ocean ecology with mermaid stories and artifacts like a shell called Triton's Trumpet, the Murex pecten shell, known as a mermaid's comb, and a mermaid's purse, an egg stack of dogfish and skate, and mermaid's tears, which are actually crystalline rocks, and more. And to finish this up, it says, yes, the Zimbabwean story is tragic, And the strong local belief probably hides a more logical explanation involving dangerous currents, government neglect, and unscrupulous religious leaders. Knowledge is power. Perhaps instead of sending the village leader to the mermaid museums, the villagers should visit them. But I offer you this, ladies and gentlemen. I offer you this. Never rule out the potential for the very humble merman, mermaid, and of course, not to be left out, excuse me, it's mermam. Yes, indeed. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being here with me today. We only had one coughing fit, and that was because I inhaled coffee. Can you believe that? I love you, but I've got to leave you. But the good news is, if you love me, I'll be back tomorrow. So wherever you are, make it TFR and Denny. Just Denny touch that dial. And just like that, you absolutely equally awesome people over here on YouTube. Thank you all so much just for being here, for making me realize how comfortable it would be just to do the two shows at once. And I should have panicked about nothing, because I ain't no psychic vampire. I don't draw energy off of you. But there's an energy that does get generated by what we do around here. And if that in any way helped me through the past 2 hours, I'm grateful for that. I hope I've given you something to laugh at, something to think about, or if nothing else, you've just escaped some of the crazy on social media for the past 2 hours. I think any of those, if I have achieved any of those, we're doing good work here. And I want to thank you all of you, for being here. And Nacy, the megaphone man, says, nothing like gobbling up some mermaids. I prefer the mermaids to do some gobbling, to be honest with you, Nacy. But we can get into that tomorrow, because Nacy will be here. And Sidvich, you're still awake, sir, because of the dulcet tones of the Mad Scotsman drifting over the North Sea on the back of the mermaid scales. Yes. I've kept you awake, man. You see, that's how infotaining I am. Yes, I used the word infotaining because, hey, it's a serious thing we do around here. It's information, but no harm entertaining you along the way, right? So I hope you've all had a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. I will be testing out Odyssey at some point. Can I give a big special shout out to the Google moderator team? They probably gave up about an hour ago when they seen that, well, this guy really is just obsessed with woo. And so far, the woo is okay. When they come for our woo, ladies and gentlemen, oh, that's my red line in the sand. But listen, thanks for being here. I think we had about 60 people over here, which is, wow, 68? No, 60. My eyes are getting that bad. Is that 60? I think it's 60. I really need to get my eyes tested. It's 60. It's 58 now. I scared 2 people away with that. Exactly, Sidvich. Exactly. See, I know you're giggling right now. I know you are. Yeah. Admit it, dude. Admit it. There's a part of you really, really loves me, right? Because I love all of you. So I am out of here. But I can't go anywhere, nowhere, until I say this. Or that. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.